Okay, so, like, imagine you're stuck in prison, right? Like serious prison. Not just a weekend kind of thing, but like years, decades even. What would you do to get out? I mean, would you risk it all? Break the law? I don't know, maybe even risk your life? That's the question we're going to deep dive into today. The story of George Blake, British double agent, spying for the Soviets, got caught, thrown in the slammer, 42 years. Can you imagine that? But that's just the beginning. Because Blake, he escaped from Wormwood Scrubs, yeah, one of the most notorious prisons in England. And the way he did it, well, that's the truly wild part. He had help from some pretty unexpected allies. So Wormwood Scrubs, right? Grim place, high walls, barbed wire, the whole 9 yards. Blake's been there 5 years already. Then, one night, movie night, he makes his move. It starts simple, just a broken window. But this was no spur-of-the-moment thing. This was planned, meticulous. And it involved more than just Blake. Three other guys were key to this whole thing. Sean Bourke, another inmate. He and Blake, they formed a bond inside. Then there's Michael Randle and Pottle. These two, they were anti-nuclear activists. They believed in peace, thought Blake's sentence was way too harsh. So they decided to help him escape. Can you believe that? Driven by conscience, risking their own freedom for someone they believed was wrongly imprisoned. So picture this. Secret meetings in the prison. A smuggled walkie-talkie crackling with coded messages. Safe houses being set up outside. It's like something out of a spy movie. So Blake, he gets out through that broken window. Bourke had a rope ladder ready. Over the wall he goes. But here's the thing. Blake actually fractured his wrist climbing down. But he kept going. Adrenaline, I guess. A camper van's waiting for him. They vanish into the night. Their goal, East Germany. Behind the Iron Curtain. That's where Blake could finally meet up with his Soviet handlers, the KGB officers he'd been working with all along. So they're on the run, right? Driving across Europe, every border crossing a heart-stopping moment. They finally make it to the Helmstedt-Marienborn crossing, the gateway to East Germany. They get through, disappearing into a new life. Blake's free. And for years, that's how it stayed. Blake living in the shadows. Then, 25 years later, bam, the spotlight swings back. Randle and Pottle get arrested. Can you believe it? After all that time, they go to trial. And their defense, it's amazing. They say they acted out of conscience, that Blake's sentence was inhumane. And this is where things get really interesting, because it brings up this whole concept of jury nullification. Have you ever heard of that? Basically, it's when a jury decides to acquit someone, even if they technically broke the law, because they believe the law itself is unjust, or the punishment is just way too harsh. And that's exactly what happened with Randle and Pottle. The judge told the jury to convict them. They said, nope, not guilty. It was a huge statement, showing how people felt about Blake's sentence and those who helped him. Oh, and remember Bourke, the guy who helped from inside the prison. Well, he was living in Ireland, and Ireland refused to extradite him, said it was the political offense, so he never even faced trial. So there you have it. The escape of George Blake. It's a story of espionage, sure, but it's also about morality, about justice, about the limits of the law. Makes you think, doesn't it? Did Blake deserve to escape? Were those who helped him heroes or criminals?
And what about that jury? Were they right to go against the judge's instructions? It's a story that leaves you with more questions than answers. And ultimately, it asks us to examine our own values. What would we have done in their place? Would we have risked everything for what we believe in? Just some food for thought, right? Anyway, that's our deep dive for today. Thanks for listening.